2 years ago, the people gave Fine Gael and the Labour Party a very clear mandate, and that mandate was to take the decisions to achieve economic recovery, to sort out our public finances and to get Ireland working again. Let me recount a few facts for you and truths. We did inherit a country that was deep in economic crisis. We'd been forced into a bailout arrangement. Public finances were out of control, banks on the brink of collapse, jobs decimated at an alarming rate, international reputation in shreds. Clearly, government since then has been working with the Irish people to implement an agreed plan or programme for government for economic recovery. I believe, and the government believe, that we're heading in the right direction here, that this plan is working. People's hard work and people's sacrifices are beginning to pay dividends. Ireland has rebuilt its reputation, it's restoring its confidence, and it is laying the foundations for a better, a brighter and a more prosperous future. The second annual report that you have there sets out the progress that the government has made in the past year. As the Taoiseach said quite clearly this morning, there isn't anybody here looking for claps on the back or credit for the achievements of government, because these decisions are all part of a strategy and a plan to sort out the difficulties that we inherited here. It shows, though, that government is making serious progress on the implementation of the plan, that it's reforming, legislating and delivering on its commitments to the people. Just 2 years on, 2/3 of the commitments in the programme for government have been progressed satisfactorily, and because they have, a sense of stability has returned to the country. We will continue to work with that hard-won stability to sustain an ambitious but realistic agenda. For the first time since 2008, the number of people in employment has risen slightly. You're aware of the catastrophic collapse in private sector employment of 250,000 job losses in the 3 years prior to 2011. The impact of the devastation of unemployment can never be underestimated. That jobs hemorrhage has stopped in the last 15 months. Private sector has created 1,000 new jobs a month on average since then. Obviously, if we have an aspiration, which we have, of being the best country by 2016, we have to create jobs, the opportunities that people need and demand and deserve. So to make that transition, it's necessary not just to implement the action plan for jobs, but to prove that it actually works. The 2012 plan had 270 actions, 92% of those were delivered, but as I've said previously, I'm much more interested in seeing their impact on the ground. We protected our 12.5% corporate tax rate, but the Ministers for Finance, Taoiseach in his international engagements, was very strong in the early stages of this government's remit in rebuilding that sense of trust. We cut employers' PRSI. In 2012, new job creation from foreign direct investment reached a decade high. Minister for Jobs is in the States at the moment, continuing that work. Exporting companies reported their highest jobs gain since 2006. Taoiseach and I have been discussing how we can get more out of this, how we have people of great potential here who could be selling for the country out there in a way, and we're looking at innovative ways of doing that. For job seekers, 30,000 new education and training places put in place, and that's one of the issues that we raise consistently at the European Forum, so that the 6 billion which has gone in there for youth unemployment, hopefully when we get agreement on the MFF, will become effective for Ireland also next year. We launched the Intro service, which is a whole new approach towards social protection and the way that people were treated in what originally were social welfare offices. Now there's a real engagement both in groups and individuals about their competence, experience, their ambitions, their aspirations, and how the state and its agencies, through employers and so on, can actually help here. We've kept our promises in respect of tax and social welfare. Yes, there are too many people who are out of work and who cannot find a job, and too many who have to travel abroad looking for jobs. That's why jobs is a core creation of the government. Consolidating the success of the first renegotiation of the bailout agreement, liquidating Anglo-Irish Bank and Irish Nationwide, abolishing the promissory notes have reduced our borrowing costs and have had generally a very positive reaction from business both at home and abroad. Bank guarantees ended. Further stakes in the banks have been sold. The correction of the public finances is on track. Most of the fiscal consolidation is complete. So therefore borrowing is on track to fall below the 3% of GDP target by 2015, which is the core objective of the programme for government. I have to say that this new stability and confidence has been very hard won. It's paid off though with long-term government bonds now at less than 4%, coming down from just over 14 2 years ago. So we've got to build on that stability to get the country moving and working now. We've acted and worked to protect the most vulnerable. 330,000 of the lowest paid were made exempt from the USC. We've enacted the new personal insolvency legislation to help those borrowers who are in distress with mortgages or whatever to reach a settlement with their lenders and to remain in the family home. We expect the doors of the insolvency agency to be open for business early summer. We've ensured a fair contribution from everyone in this national effort by increasing taxes on capital and wealth and by eliminating tax loopholes. We've been overhauling the political system to make it more effective and more efficient, to make sure that politicians across the political sphere share in the sacrifices being made by people. The number of Dáil working days is up by 30%. Politicians' pay and expenses have been cut. There have been changes made in the cost of ministerial transport and the use of the government jet. Landmark constitutional reform has continued with the passing of the children's referendum and the work of the new constitutional convention, which I'm glad to see is making good progress. We're reforming local government to render it more efficient and more effective, cutting the number of councillors by over a third, eliminating town councils and making it far more effective. So despite the necessary budgetary cuts here, we have protected education, health and other key service areas in there by cutting costs and waste. We've secured significant new agreements with hospital consultants and the pharmaceutical industry to lower costs and to enhance health services. The special delivery unit set up by the Minister has continued its success in further reducing the phenomenon of serious numbers on trolleys in hospital times, and that's been evident in 2012. We've progressed a number of capital projects, the 34-bed cystic fibrosis unit in St Vincent's and the decision made to locate the National Children's Hospital at the St James's Hospital campus. So internationally, Ireland's very well regarded as being serious about its business and making serious progress in dealing with our crisis. We're certainly holding our own in that regard. Now we need now to move from stability to growth and jobs. And Taoiseach and I have discussed this on a regular basis. It is to short-circuit the time lag between emerging from a programme or a recession and the impact on the ground in terms of confidence, access to credit and jobs therefore being created. So we continue to rebuild and restore our country, making sure that the plan here brings real impact for their benefit to people's lives. Clearly the 2030 Action Plan, which we launched recently, speaks for itself. We'll enact the new legislation in New Era and the Strategic Investment Fund to finance new projects in infrastructure and so on. We've developed an enhanced pathways to work, which Minister Burton is aggressively pursuing here to make sure that jobs get to people off the live register. Minister Burton's made this point repeatedly, that while the principles of Europe speak of stability, growth and jobs, and these are the pillars for our agenda there, it is about the 26 million European-wide and the over 400,000 on the live register here, that's where we really have to make an impact. So we'll continue to deliver further political and constitutional reforms in the autumn with a referendum and others on the abolition of the Seanad. Our main goal this year is to exit successfully the IMF EU programme while sticking to a path that firmly reduces borrowing and debt to sustainable levels. This is essential to maintain investor confidence. This would not have been possible without the pragmatism and indeed the patience and the sacrifice and support of the Irish people. Yes, of course, there are still challenging days ahead. There are still quite a number of obstacles in our path in front of us, but we have come a long way over the past 2 years, and we've rectified the sense of despair that there was about Ireland ever being able to move forward. Yes, we recognise there are challenges ahead. Yes, there are difficulties for the government in dealing with a number of obstacles up ahead. But we are confident that the implementation of our plan, which you've set out here, will set out to do what we were given a mandate to do: restore our public finances to good health, restore our relationships and our confidence with our European partners, and put our people back to work. That's essentially what politics is about, and the people can judge us on that in 3 years' time when the next election is held.